The night whispered of distant thunder. It was muggy, hot, a miserable night for sleeping. Twice I had awakened, hoping that it was time to be up, but each time the night had been total blackness with no hint of a graying dawn. On the front porch Mr. Morrison sat singing soft and low into the long night, chanting to the approaching thunder. He had been there since the house had darkened after church, watching and waiting as he had done every night since Papa had been injured. No one had ever explained why he watched and waited, but I knew. It had to do with the Wallaces. Mr. Morrison's song faded, and I guessed he was on his way to the rear of the house. He would stay there for a while, walking on cat's feet through the quiet yard, then eventually return to the front porch again. Unable to sleep, I resigned myself to await his return by counting states. Miss Crocker had had a big thing about states, and I sometimes found that if I pretended that she was naming them off, I could fall asleep. I decided to count the states geographically rather than alphabetically. That was more of a challenge. I'd gotten as far west as the Dakotas when my silent recitation was disturbed by a tapping on the porch. I lay very still. Mr. Morrison never made sounds like that. There it was again. Cautiously, I climbed from the bed, careful not to awaken Big Ma, who was still snoring soundly, and crept to the door. I pressed my ear against the door and listened, then slipped the latch furiously and darted outside. "Boy, what are you doing here?" I hissed. "Hey, Cassie, would you keep it down?" whispered TJ, invisible in the darkness. Then he tapped lightly on the boy's door again, calling softly, "Hey, Stacy, come on, wake up, will ya? Let me in." The door swung open and TJ slipped inside. I pulled my own door closed and followed him. I'm in trouble, Stacy," he said. I'm really in trouble." "That ain't nothing new," I remarked. "What you coming here for?" whispered Stacy icily. "Go get R.W. and Melvin to get you out of it." In the darkness there was a low sob, and TJ, hardly sounding like TJ, mumbled, "They the ones got me in it. Where's the bed? I gotta sit down." In the darkness he groped for the bed, his feet dragging as if he could hardly lift them. "I ain't no bed," I exclaimed as his hands fell on me. There was a deep sigh. Stacy clicked on the flashlight, and TJ found the bed, sitting down slowly and holding his stomach as if he were hurt. "What's the matter?" Stacy asked, his voice wary. "R.W. and Melvin," whispered TJ. "They hurt me bad." He looked up, expecting sympathy, but our faces, grim behind the light Stacy held, showed no compassion. TJ's eyes dimmed. Then, undoing the buttons to his shirt, he pulled the shirt open and stared down at his stomach. I grimaced and shook my head at the sight. "Lord, TJ!" Stacy exclaimed in a whisper. "What happened?" TJ did not answer at first, staring in horror at the deep blue-black swelling of his stomach and chest. "I think something's busted," he gasped finally. I heard something awful." "Why'd they do it?" asked Stacy. TJ looked up into the bright light. "Help me, Stacy. Help me get home. I can't make it myself." "Tell me how come they did this to you." "'Cause I said I was going to tell what happened." Stacy and I looked at each other, and then together leaned closer to TJ. "Tell what?" we asked. TJ gulped and leaned over, his head between his legs. I'm sick, Stacy. I gotta get home before my daddy wake up. He say I stay away from that house one more night. He gonna put me out, and he mean it too. He put me out, I got no place to go. You gotta help me." "Tell us what happened." TJ began to cry. "But they said they'd do worse than this if I ever told." "Well, I ain't about to go nowhere unless I know what happened," Stacy said with finality. TJ searched Stacy's face in the rim of ghostly light cast by the flashlight. Then he told his story.